So this is a revised classes. Previously I have already done this class. Sinonasal polyposis, one important class for third MBA in ENT. Definition of nasal polyp is defined as hypertrophic, edematous, pedunculated mass of mucosa of the nose and paranasal sinus. While defining the nasal polyp, we always have to include these three words: hypertrophic, edematous, pedunculated mass of mucosa of the nose and paranasal sinus. If any one of these three words is not included, then the definitions for nasal polyp is always incomplete. So how do we classify? Nasal polyp are non-neoplastic. They are generally divided into two: the enteroconal polyp and ethmoidal polyp. So enteroconal polyp. The enteroconal polyp arise from the mucosa of the maxillary antrum near its accessory ostium, come out of its and grow in the choana nasal cavity. Enteroconal polyp is also called Killian's polyp. So enteroconal polyp has three parts. Its antral part, it is the thin stalk. Choanal part, it is the round and globular. Nasal part, it is the flat from side to side. So historical background: in 1753, Wolfine first described an enteroconal polyp in a female patient. The polyp was found filling the nasopharynx, extending up to the uvula of the patient. Wolfine believed that this polyp arose from the choana. It was Killians in 1906 who demonstrated that this polyp arose from the maxillary and sinus antrum. So, what are the etiology of nasal polyposis? The exact causes is not known. Some theories of genesis of polyp has been postulated. So the exact cause is unknown, that is idiopathic. One is infection. Polyp are seen in chronic rhinosinusitis of both allergic and non-allergic origins. So infection may be one of the cause. That is only postulated. Allergic process acting locally on nasal mucosa combined or associated with infection were probably significant factor in the genesis of nasal polypi. 7% of patients with asthma of atopic or non-atopic origin shows nasal polypi. So vasomotor imbalance is implied because majority of cases are not atopic and no obvious allergen can be found. So patients frequently have prodromal period of rhinitis prior to the occurrence of polyp. Bernoulli's phenomenon. Bernoulli's theorem postulates that when gases or fluid pass through a constricted area or a negative pressure may develop in the vicinity of constriction. Grays indicate that lower pressure at the constriction may reduce the extravascular fluid pressure in the surrounding tissue, this leading to an increased formation of tissue fluid. Polypi are more common in stenotic areas of nasal cavity as in middle meatus. Next is polysaccharide theory. Jackson and Airwood hypothesized that due to some endocrine enzymatic abnormality, polysaccharide of the ground substance accumulate which absorb water, leading to polyp formations. Polypeptide theory. Substance P accumulate, which is a vasodilator and accumulate water, leading to polyp formation. Next is aspirin hypersensitivity, a syndrome called Sumter's triad, which consists of nasal polypi, aspirin hypersensitivity, and bronchial asthma. The Sumter's triad is thought to be due to an enzyme deficiency in cyclooxygenase pathway of prostaglandin synthesis. The enzyme deficiency lead to an overproduction of leukotrienes, which are generally pro-inflammatory mediator. In the presence of aspirin, which inhibits cyclooxygenase, the normal balance of immune system in the patient is disrupted. This creates a systemic reaction similar to anaphylaxis. So, what is the pathogenesis of the polyp? So, polyposis of the respiratory mucosa may result either from vascular dearrangement in the mucosa or less commonly from the mechanical obstructions. The vascular changes are induced by the vasomotor instability, and most commonly they affect the region of the middle meatus. At first, there appear to be an area of simple edema. Then, as the stroma becomes filled with intramuscular fluid, the edematous mucosa becomes polypoid, and if not arrested at this stage, it enlarges to come down into the nasal cavity, at the same time acquiring a pedicule. This is the polypus. What is the pathology of the polyp? Pathology, either macroscopic, that is seen grossly, or microscopic, that is seen under microscope. Macroscopically, nasal polypi appear as smooth, soft masses, varying somewhat in color and sometimes translucent, sometimes white and opaque. Microscopically, edematous hypertrophy of the submucosa with intracellular serous fluid spaces in a fibrillar stroma and infiltration with eosinophil and round cell. In its early state, the surface of a simple nasal polypus is covered with ciliated columnar epithelium, but exposure to air current may lead to transitional or later to squamous metaplasia. Clinical features. Clinical features of nasal polyposis. Nasal obstructions. Nasal obstructions is the predominant features of nasal polyposis. The nasal obstructions characteristically valvular in nature. In early stage, patients find it less difficult to breathe in than breathe out. The expressions closes the flavor. In ethmoidal polyp, nasal obstruction is bilateral, and in entoconal polyp, nasal obstruction is unilateral. Partial or total loss of sense of smell, that is the hyposmia or anosmia. In unilateral polyp or ethmoidal polyp, multiple polyp can occur at any stage but are mostly seen in adult. In entoconal polyp, there is usually a single polyp. Headache is due to the associated sinusitis. Sneezing and watery nasal discharge due to associated allergy. Bleeding from the nose may occur following extensive cleaning of the nose. Bleeding from the nose in case of polyp is not usually the clinical features of epistaxis. It is only occur in the due to extensive cleaning of the nose. So the finding clinically on a clinical examinations, the findings are different for both the ethmoidal and entoconal polyp. In ethmoidal polyp, the external nasal deformity, on observations, there will be external nasal deformity. That is called frog nose deformity. And on call specular test, decrease or absent from bilaterally is because bilateral nasal obstruction occur. On cotton test, no movement of the whiff, no movement of the cotton whiff bilaterally. On anterior rhinoscopy, what we will see? On anterior rhinoscopy, polyp appear as bilateral, grape-like appearance, multiple, smooth, shiny, bluish, soft, mobile, pedunculated mass, which is insensitive to touch and doesn't bleed on touch. Pale color of the polyp is due to the poor blood supply. Insensitive to the touch is due to the poor sensory nerve fiber. Retracted tympanic membrane in long staining cases. Retracted tympanic membrane in long staining cases, and sometimes polyp may protrude from the nostril and appear peeing, vascular, and simultaneously simulating neoplasm. Nasal cavity may have purulent discharge. In enteroconal polyp, findings almost same with ethmoidal polyp, except usually enteroconal polyp grows posteriorly. Therefore, enteroconal polyp may sometimes miss on anterior rhinoscopy. When large, a smooth grayish mass covered with nasal discharge may be seen. It is soft, insensitive to touch, no bleed on touch. A large enteroconal polyp may sometimes protrude from the nostril and so being congested on its export part. On posterior rhinoscopy, enteroconal polyp look like a globular mass filling the choana or the nasopharynx. A large polyp may hang down behind the subpalate and present in the oropharynx. Same way. So, voice thick and dull due to hyponasality. So, in exam question come as what are the causes of unilateral nasal obstruction? What are the causes of unilateral nasal obstruction? So, write down the causes of unilateral nasal obstruction. In vestibule, furuncle, vestibulitis, stenosis of Neyer's, atresia, papilloma, squamous cell carcinoma. In nasal cavity, foreign body sometimes deviated nasal septum, hypertrophic turbinates in one side, concha bullosa, enteroconal polyp, synechiae, rhinolite, bleeding polypus of the septum, unilateral sinusitis, benign and malignant tumor of the nose and PNS, paranasal sinus in one side. In the nasopharynx, unilateral choanal atresia. What are the causes of bilateral nasal obstructions? Bilateral nasal obstruction. In the nasal cavity, acute rhinitis, either viral or bacterial, chronic rhinitis and sinusitis, rhinitis medicamentosa, allergic rhinitis, hypertrophic turbinates, S-shaped deviated nasal septum, ethmoidal polyp, sometimes enteroconal polyp also, atrophic rhinitis, rhinitis sicca, septal hematoma, inseptal abscess, bilateral choanal atresia. In vestibule, bilateral vestibulitis, collapsing nasally, stenosis of Neyer's, congenital atresia of the Neyer's. In nasopharynx, adenoid hypertrophy, large choanal polyp, adhesion between subpalate and posterior pharyngeal wall, and large benign or malignant tumor. Differential diagnosis with enteroconal polyp or nasal polyp. Hypertrophic middle turbinate. They are pink in color, sensitive to touch. Probe cannot pass laterally. Hard in consistency. Nasopharyngeal angioperineuma. Nasopharyngeal angioperineuma occur in male, only in male adolescent person with profuse recurrent unprovoked epistaxis will be the features. Inverted papilloma. They are soft, pinkish red, friable vascular mass, so they easily bleed on touch. Rhinosporiosis. It is a chronic fungal disease of the nose caused by fungal parasite Rhinosporidium severi or Rhinosporidium kinelli. Chief symptom is epistaxis with mucoid or blood-stained nasal discharge. Then meningocele. In meningocele there will always be a positive Kapp impulse. In case of newborn, you will get impulse test on crying. And mucosine associated orbital swelling and visual disturbances. And malignancy definitely different from the polyp. So what we will do in case of nasal polyp? How we will manage the case of a nasal polyp? A case of a nasal polyp will be investigated one by radiological investigations. What radiological investigation we will do? One is X-ray PNS, and obviously now it is the CT scan of nose and PNS. Then hematological investigation. This is routine hematological investigations we always do if we plan for surgery. This is complete blood count is CBC, RBS, kidney function test, THS, PTA, PTT, and iron. And nasal endoscopy. Nasal endoscopic evaluations. Treatment. There are two modalities of treatment. One is medical treatment and one is surgical treatment. What medical treatment we do? Why we do the X-ray PNS is to know the extent of the disease. If there is bony erosions present, to exclude the malignancy, and it is a baseline. If the bony erosion is present, then the diagnosis of nasal polyp is always doubtful. The nasal polyp never erode the bone. If erosion occurs, that might be not the nasal polyp, and it may be the malignant. What medical treatment we do? Medical treatment includes intranasal corticosteroid and systemic corticosteroid. Intranasal corticosteroid, although surgery is necessary in most cases, conservative treatment of polyp as an essential part in the management of any patient with nasal polypi, and on occasion may alone topics. Some patients may not respond to topical steroid. This may be due to the inadequate intranasal distribution of the spray in very blocked nose. Responsiveness can then be achieved after a short course of systemic chemotherapy. Intranasal steroid will not illuminate polyp, but the treatment clearly reduces the size. But in case of polyp located inside the middle meatus, this polyp size reduction by intranasal steroid cannot be expected, because only small fraction of the spray reaches the middle meatus. Intranasal corticosteroid also decreases rhinorrhea and sneezing along with nasal obstructions. So, but effect on loss of the sense of smell with that test caused by polyp obstruction of the olfactory region of the nasal cavity is very poor. This is probably because of a spray will not reach the olfactory epithelium due to obstruction by the polyp. Although intranasal steroids do not cure the disease, long-term therapy may break the vicious cycle and have a long-lasting efficacy, especially in the mild cases. Systemic steroid. Systemic corticosteroid can be given as tablet and as a depot injection. In the case of systemic corticosteroid, within the few days, it can reduce all nasal symptoms, including the change of smell. A short course of systemic steroid is equally effective as simple polypectomy with a sneer. In severe disease requiring endoscopic surgery, preoperative use of a systemic steroid will considerably facilitate surgery. So, surgical treatment group one is polypectomy, a simple polypectomy, and other is functional endoscopic sinus surgery. So, due to the nature of the nasal polyposis as an inflammatory disease of the mucous membrane, surgery cannot be expected to cure the disease. In some mild cases presenting for first time with large polyp, polypectomy can be a good choice. In more severe cases with persistent symptoms, surgery is accompanied by medical treatment in order to reduce the amount of inflammatory tissue, often of the nasal airway, improve the ventilation of the paranasal sinus. Following intranasal corticosteroid treatment for 1 month and orally for 10 days, patient treated with functional endoscopic sinus surgery, that is FESS, FESS. In short, the medical treatment is sufficient to treat most of the cases of nasal polyposis. If nasal obstruction remains a main problem after medical treatment, then surgical treatment is indicated. So why AC Foley directed posteriorly into the nasopharynx? What are the reasons? There are probably 5 reasons. The accessory maxillary ostium is directed posteriorly. Cilia beat in posterior directions. Nasal air flow always directed posteriorly. Swallowing creates a negative pressure posteriorly and drags the polyp posteriorly. One last one.